Welcome into Rounding the Bases live, presented by Enterprise Bank and Trust, episode number 15. I'm Joel Goldberg, and welcome into the show. Hope that your Monday morning was off to a good start, is off to a good start as we hit the midday hour. If you're hungry and you're thinking about lunch, this could be a challenging episode for you because we will sort of be talking about food. More importantly, we'll be talking about an amazing cause. Hope everyone had a good, productive weekend, maybe got a chance to relax, a nice Easter, Passover, if you celebrate Passover like me, but just hopefully a chance to spend time with family. I know that everyone's out there grinding right now from the home, and you almost have to separate the home work life from the home relaxing part of life, as most of us are all quarantined or whatever you want to call it, shelter in place, lockdown, whatever it is. We know that this has become our normal, at least for the time being. I couldn't do the show without the support of Enterprise Bank and Trust, hashtag no stopping you. Talked about those PPP loans last week. I got my application in for that with my business. And so we're all dealing with this in different ways. And I just hope everyone continues to stay healthy and safe out there. I want to thank my friends at Casey Cattle Company. About ready to set up another delivery too. Went through all that Wagyu ground beef. Got to order those bacon bratwursts that they are now selling, and their website that has it all on there. So check it out, CaseyCattleCompany.com. They deliver to all 50 states and to right here in Kansas City. Good local business up in Western Missouri, veteran operated and owned. Big friends of mine and the Goldberg household, and we love the product. So hope that you will support them as they continue to support us here in this community. A couple of guys who I know don't want credit for anything they're doing, but they're doing something amazing. And I wanted to have them both on because they to me, they represent the spirit of Kansas City and really what we're seeing all over the country. Just different folks trying to get involved to help out. So right now, I want to bring in Kissel and Trey McDonald. You may recognize, I put on my cheat. I actually had some Royal stuff on, and I thought, you know what, let me throw some red on there, which I have at times before. But we got the world champion member of the Chiefs broadcast team, Kissel, and we'll talk Chiefs in a little bit. Trey McDonald's wearing his Chiefs gear. And with all of that, we're talking about Jack Stack Barbecue and really taking care of people right now. BJ, let's start with you. You guys are feeding healthcare workers, hospital employees, nurses, doctors, taking care of the people that are taking care of us. How did this whole thing start?
It's kind of crazy, Joel, and appreciate you having Trey and I on. Trey and I didn't know each other before we started this, so kind of gotten used to it. But basically just started, like you said, we both kind of had the same idea of just, we were at home kind of in the shelter in place, trying to figure out what we could do to help, besides just staying away from people and following the advice of the experts out there. What can we do to help? And, we both have mutual friends who work at Jack Stack and work in the restaurant industry, which is struggling right now. And so it's how can we help them? And then obviously seeing all the cell phone videos and all the nurses from around the country talking about what they're going through right now. You can't only be human, but for it to kind of affect you in some sort of way. So then how can I help? I can't leave the house. I want to order food from local restaurants and want to take care of the nurses. So it seemed like it was a really simple idea of just, raising money to get food from local restaurants to have it delivered to different hospitals in the area. And when you have an institution like Jack Stack, a place that, if you live in Kansas City, you're from Kansas City, you've had friends come in town, you've had work colleagues come in town, and you take them to one of the famous barbecue places. That's just what you do in Kansas City when people come to visit. So those are the places that you want to take care of. And there's lots of restaurants and lots of local businesses you want to take care of. But it just made a lot of sense. We put the idea out there kind of on our own, and then they both kind of started to blow up a little bit. And then Trey and I got in touch and decided to kind of combine forces with the GoFundMe. And, originally trying to, feed, 20, 40 nurses. And now we're upwards of, probably 6,000 by the time this thing is all done as we stand today. So it's been amazing, the community support. And like you said, this isn't anything Trey or I did. We just had an idea, put it out there, and the people in Kansas City, they did what they do, and that's take care of their own. And, this sense of community has really showed up in a lot of different ways, not just with this campaign, but with a lot of them that are out there, a lot of people doing good work.
So you guys are feeding people with amazing barbecue. You cannot go wrong there. You're also helping keep restaurant workers employed because you're making sure that they're getting that business on an everyday basis. What's really interesting to me is like this. I know that you guys have been so humble with it, which also represents the spirit of everyone and community. You don't want credit for it. And by the way, I asked you guys to do this. You didn't ask me to do this. So this isn't attention seeking. But what's interesting is if this has become like a dynamic duo of BJ Kissel and Trey McDonald, whether you guys want that attention or really you don't. It's interesting, Trey, to me that you guys didn't know each other before. So how did the two of you come together to collaborate like this as two guys that, I mean, you're a Chiefs fan. You've probably listened to BJ and seen his work, and now suddenly you're working alongside of him from a distance.
Yeah, I did not know who he was originally. It was a really neat situation because he had a good friend that works at Jack Stack, as do I. And we both just, for some reason, had the same idea. I'm very tied into Menorah Hospital. I spent a lot of time there with when my father was ill. And so my thing was, what can I do? What can I get from Jack Stack to feed maybe the whole hospital, maybe the ICU and the critical care units or the ERs? And I sent this message to Jack Stack, to my buddy at Jack Stack, and the next morning at about 4:30 in the morning, his wheels were already turning, and he had gotten a message from somebody else that said BJ had done the same thing. So great idea, just came together. Jack Stack was actually key in putting us in touch with each other to help us, get this going and get this off the ground.
So BJ, this started, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, in the latter part of March, maybe. I know everything blends together. That seems like 3 months ago. Seems like you were in the middle of the Chiefs Super Bowl championship like half of a year ago, and that wasn't the case either. But so you guys start this with what initial goal? I mean, beyond the obvious of trying to feed some nurses, what were you thinking, like realistically, numbers wise, what this might be?
It's kind of funny because, when Trey and I first got in touch, I started putting out just on my personal Facebook and my personal Venmo account. Because like I said, this originally, I thought I was going to raise a couple $100, just from friends and people that reached out either on my personal Twitter or on my personal Facebook. This wasn't a Chiefs thing. This wasn't a, BJ Kissel, Kansas City Chiefs reporter type of deal. It was just, hey, my wife and I have this cool idea. And then it got to where I think there was like $8,000 in my personal Venmo. And that's when I was like, you know what, I need to move this to a GoFundMe. And that's when we got in touch with Trey and kind of combined it. But I feel like, when we first got in touch and, even it's funny, about a week ago, Trey reached out and asked how long we've been doing this. He's like, it's been like a month, right? And I go, I think it's barely been 2 weeks, man. Like it hasn't been that long at all. It seems like it. But yeah, it's just been special. And I think, again, it's the community support, it's the people reaching out. I don't think if we had set out to try to feed 6,000 people and that was the goal from the beginning, I don't know if it would have been as successful. I think it was just very organic and just a very simple idea that kind of blew up. So when I originally started, it was my wife and I trying to feed like 40 people. And I think once we combined the GoFundMe, I think I remember talking to Trey and I think I said 25,000 was like the first goal to put on there. He immediately was like 50. And I was just like, wow, he's got big goals. And next thing you know, we're knocking on the doorstep of $50,000, not even a month later. So at this point, every donation has just been awesome. Most of the donations have been very small. It's not like there's one large donation that's been the majority of this. We've had, donations of, $3 from college students that, put on their little message saying, I don't have a lot of money, but I have friends who are nurses. This is good cause. And this is all the money I have in my Venmo. So it's stuff like that I think is really cool to see people doing whatever they can and try to help.
Well, like $1, $3, $5, it's all going in to help feed people. So I mean, this is truly one of those things where you sit there and say, boy, just the smallest amount still helps. It still feels like you're contributing. It's a way. And I guys, I so get what you're talking about and saying, look, it's not about us, because we're all trying to shine a light on these heroes. You see it all over the country and all over the world with the way, they're honking horns and singing songs and doing all this to really thank and not just thank, support and make sure the way we will with first responders. And by the way, first responders right now too, in the midst of the grueling hours and they're putting their health on the lines in many cases. It's just a way, even if it's a little couple bucks to support. So Trey, what's the what's the process then like? What's every day like as this money is coming in, and then how are you guys figuring out where to send that food?
Well, BJ has taken the reign and done a ton of work. He's organized and set up all the deliveries with the hospitals. I think the last time we spoke, we had delivered over a dozen hospitals around the city, and they have done the job of getting all that scheduled. Once that's done, it's very simple. Jack Stack does this every day. They're very, very good at catering. They're very, very good at getting food out to people. And so once BJ and his team has the hospitals lined up, we put a call in to Jack Stack and they get them done and get them delivered.
Yeah, this wouldn't have been possible, Joel, without Jack Stack. Their logistics and their setup with their catering department. I know when it first started, when I placed the first order for the first day that we did it, I think, Trey, when you and I first got started, that first delivery actually went through a specific location at Jack Stack. And then the thing just got way too big and it had to get handed off basically to their catering department because they had the part-time employees, the seasonal people that could come in and help place those orders. But these are individually boxed lunches because for one, that's the way that they cater, but that's also what the hospitals needed to allow the food to come into the hospitals. And that was exactly the way that Jack Stack was set up. So all the credit in the world goes to Jack Stack. And we just kind of lucked into it being really smooth from the beginning because it was such a seamless transition for them to say, let's just hand it to our catering department. And like you said, I've got help with me now helping me place orders. And at this point, the hardest part was just getting the contact information for the hospitals and making sure we're delivering it to the right people at the right times and that we're being respectful to the fact that, there's day shift nurses, there's night shift nurses, and you don't want to have them, why did they get food? Why didn't we get food? So trying to figure out all those things to take care of everybody we can has been the goal, but everybody's been phenomenal. We've delivered right around 3,000 meals already, with another 3,000 meals over the next 3 weeks that we have set to deliver. And again, we're going to keep delivering until the money's gone. And Jack Stack continues to match for every 1,000 people that we feed. They're kicking in an extra 200 meals, which we're going to add on to the end of the order. So it feels like we're kind of on the downturn of this thing, but we're barely even halfway through all the deliveries with all the food. So it's been awesome so far. It's continuing to be awesome. And I don't want to speak for Trey, but to me, I still think, Joel, the coolest part of this whole deal was seeing other people take similar ideas, whether they heard it from us or whether they just saw it. Cerner has started something similar where they're feeding the frontline workers with a program that they have where they've raised money and they're using local restaurants to deliver money. But the actual Feed It Forward campaign has been picked up in 4 other places around the country, starting in Denver with a friend of mine from high school, Lisa, and they've got nearly $25,000 already raised for the Denver Feed It Forward, where they're taking money, buying food from local restaurants and delivering it to hospitals. So that's the coolest part is people have taken such an easy, simple idea and replicated it to try to help as many people as we can.
Trey, has it been overwhelming at times as a guy that was just trying to help out and then meeting another guy that was just trying to help out and then to see the numbers and the amount of dollars and the amount of people being fed? And I know that, by the way, these are long days for everyone. And I mean, everybody. I mean, it's a stressful time. So no matter what you're doing, no matter what your job situation is or out of work, these are stressful days for everyone to wake up. It's long days. It's different. It's different for everyone. No one's in their normal routine right now. So I know that this has to be long hours for you guys, even if you don't view yourselves as the heroes. But have you had that chance to just sort of stop, Trey, and say, oh my gosh, this is really working?
Yeah. And honestly, for me, the most overwhelming part of this has been the support of everybody in this town. It's crazy that how many, and BJ said it earlier, how many people say, I sent $20. It's the best I could do. I hope this helps. But when you get hundreds and hundreds of people donating $100, $50, $20, and that is how we've gotten up to, that close to our $50,000 goal. And without that support of Kansas City and all the folks here in this wonderful town, it's not possible.
And I'll challenge everybody watching. And I could already see right now we have a lot of people watching live on Facebook and on YouTube. I see my friend Sarah Nauser. I don't know if she's still watching. Had hearted a like, and Sarah's a police officer who we see all the time at Kauffman Stadium. You've seen her, BJ, over at Arrowhead too, battling ALS. She's the toughest person I know, and the most optimistic, upbeat person. And I would remind everyone right now that when you're having those down times, just put it in perspective, because she does that better than anyone. She puts a smile on everyone's faces, and basically has the whole Royals team in love with her spirit and her personality. And so I think we all can take inspiration from others during this time. But, you know, BJ, we all know this, but you know what the spirit of this town is, having been the most recent to go through it in terms of the masses. I saw it, not just me, everybody saw it, but I worked it when we had those 800,000 people down celebrating the Royals championship. You have just been through that with the Chiefs. So I would guess that in one sense, this doesn't surprise you. I mean, I know you didn't expect it to take off, but if you really had thought at the beginning, you know what, the spirit of Kansas City, it might have made some sense, right?
Yeah, I think for me personally, I think when we started it, I knew it was a good idea. I knew it was too simple. It was just support local restaurants, get some hours for the local employees if it can help a little bit, and then just send some food to some nurses. But I trusted the idea, but I also knew that there were so many other people that were also thinking of ideas, that were also thinking of cool ways to help, that just because this was a cool one doesn't mean that they wouldn't hear another cool idea and decide to support that, which is awesome because everybody can find their own way to help. So I just wasn't sure how many, ideas would be out there that would kind of flood the market. I don't know how else to explain it as far as like other things that people can do to help. But yeah, not terribly surprised that people in this community have, come around to help. That's just, it's the Midwestern side. Like I grew up here. We all kind of been here long enough to know that can't be too surprised when you kind of take care of your own in times like this. So it's been really special. It's been really cool. I think the coolest part for me is seeing the pictures. It's one thing to, call a hospital and have them say thank you and know that you're delivering food. But since you're not there delivering it, you don't really see it. So I think the pictures, when you see them, smiling, putting their like face mask down, and smiling, knowing that you're giving a little like 10-minute break to kind of enjoy some food, before they have to go back to work and back into an environment that we're all actively trying to avoid, telling us to stay home and everything. I think that's the coolest part, is seeing the pictures and the videos, just knowing that that's the impact that we're making, is just giving them that 10 or 15-minute break.
Well, don't forget that anybody that was getting Jack Stack would probably have a smile on their face anyway. I'm biased. It's I was telling Ricky Paradise from over there that it's my favorite. I've got a few favorites. It's tough. Like talking barbecue in Kansas City can be a little bit like talking politics, and this does come up, right? Anytime someone comes into town, what's the first thing you probably do? You want to go take them for barbecue. So I mean that is something that we're all part of, but you can't go wrong going over to Jack Stack, especially going and sitting down. So we can't do that right now. So you bring it to others. How about for you, Trey? What has it been like for you to see those pictures and get some of that feedback and see those smiles, oftentimes behind the masks?
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Seeing the pictures, the videos, things posted on our GoFundMe page. That's awesome. It's the best part about it. And BJ said it perfectly. You're literally giving somebody a 10 or 15-minute break from the craziness of all this stuff that's going on. And those of us at home already get that break. Sometimes with our kids, we don't get as many breaks as we would like. But those frontline workers, those hospital folks, even the EMS stuff, the first responders, they're just putting their lives at stake every day. So just 15 minutes, like BJ said, and just watch them smile. It's perfect.
If anyone wants to comment and send in any messages, and I'll remind everyone that BJ and Trey really aren't looking for the credit. Don't think they deserve the credit. I think they deserve plenty of credit for organizing it, but I get it. There's so many important people involved, but it's nice. And look, if you are a nurse or someone that is watching this right now, feel free to chime in too. I don't know if this is a friend of yours or not, BJ, but
yeah, it's funny story. So Aaron Lewis, when we first had this idea,
he did this one too, so that's why I figured it was a friend. But go on, sorry.
He's actually the first one. So when my wife and I first had the idea, I put it out on Facebook and just said, "Does anybody have any connections? How do you get food into a hospital?" I mean, that's the first idea was actually pizza. Like for my wife and I, we're just trying to send pizza to one hospital. Put it out on Facebook saying, "How do I get food into a hospital right now? Does anybody have any connections?" And Aaron, who lives down in North Carolina now, reached out to me on Facebook and said that he had he used to work in the healthcare industry here in Kansas City. He had friends and that he would reach out. And he was the first one actually that said, he gave me the answers like, hey, this is what the hospitals need to get food per his friend. And he said, hey, send me your Venmo. I'll send you some money. I think this is a good idea. And so at that point I was like, okay, cool. Well, if he's willing to do it, I'll just put it, I'll put my Venmo out there for everybody. So Aaron definitely deserves a lot of credit for, it kind of starting to blow up, at least for me personally on my side of things. He reached out and he's helped place some of the orders here in Kansas City as well.
It's amazing what happens when people come together like this. And it's, again, I'll say I know it's got to be humbling for you guys. It's humbling to everybody involved. So in one sense, it's not a surprise, but then you sit there and think, oh my gosh, look at what's going on here. So Trey, where are we at right now? I think BJ mentioned before, we're maybe getting closer to the end, but I know that there's still a ton of work left. There's still peak coming potentially. The hospital situations could get worse and more stressful. And look, the reality of it is, and I'll ask BJ about this in a minute, we don't know timetables on a lot of things. We don't know. I don't know when the baseball season is starting or where it's going to be played or if we're going to see games at Kauffman Stadium or elsewhere this year. We don't know what the NFL draft is going to look like. I've got to think we'll have an NFL season, but how in the world can we predict August, September, or what do things look like by next Super Bowl if this thing returns? We don't know. So will you guys just keep pushing forward or what's the plan here right now?
Right now, we're still going. We've raised just shy of $46,000, which is a great number. It's a huge number, but we're going to continue to push forward and feed these folks as long as we can. Maybe we feed them for 3 or 4 more weeks. Maybe we feed them for 2 or 3 more months. But we're going to continue to try push our efforts to see where we can go with it.
Well, I back to the spirit again. People will, I believe, they'll keep contributing, unless, and I know everybody's getting tired with all of this too, and this is becoming normal for better and worse. I mean, normal in the sense that we're adapting, but the worst part is that we can get a little bit you forget because it becomes part of that everyday routine. So we've got to find ways, and when I say we, I mean people like me, people in the media. BJ, if you were on the other side of it, you would be out there talking about what you guys were doing. It's important to keep that word out there. Are you hearing, I know this isn't a Chiefs endeavor, BJ, but have they taken notice, or are you hearing anything from players? I know people have kind of gone their own way too at this point.
Yeah, the Chiefs as an organization did a lot of stuff with Harvester. They've done the work before. A lot of players donated a lot of money. So there's a lot of great causes out there. A lot of the employees and the staff and the VPs have donated. You'll see that on the GoFundMe, and a few of the staff are actually the ones, Kirsten Krug, who's our VP of administration. She's helping actually place the orders because she's got a lot of connections with the hospitals and the healthcare staffs around the area. So they've definitely been supportive. Everybody's just trying to figure out whatever they can do to help. I think they were kind of surprised when they said BJ's doing this thing on the side. And next thing you know, like a week later, it's like, yeah, there's like 30 grand in here. I got to figure out how to deliver all this barbecue to all these people, but it's been awesome. And they've been supportive, and, everybody's trying to figure out, it's kind of a weird time. I know it's obviously not at all ideal as far as the timing for the baseball season, but for football season, besides draft prep and some of the stuff for the players as they're getting ready, there's not always a ton of stuff going on right now in the football world. There's free agency and they're signing and interviews and press conferences and that kind of stuff. That's a lot different. But when the draft gets here in 10 days, now next Thursday, it's going to definitely have a different look. But apparently it's going off, and they're going to try to make it seem as normal as possible. Who knows what OTAs and rookie mini camps and all that stuff looks like after that. But as of right now, it's trying to figure out this new normal. And Joel, real quick to go back on your point, I think it's really important for everybody who's listening that we don't normalize what's going on from the nurses' point of views right now, just because we've seen it now for a month of the videos of what they're going through, and you kind of just dismiss it almost because you've seen it so much. And I think the challenge for everybody is to not do that, and the challenge for the media is to continue telling the story and painting the picture of what things look like right now and what's happening, instead of just thinking, well, we've told that story, for 2 weeks, we don't need to tell it anymore. Well, then it's hard for us to all have perspective on what's happening if we don't see it and we don't know those stories.
Well said. I want to get a couple final thoughts and then we'll wrap it up, because I do have to get a Chiefs question in there. But first, Trey, let me wrap up then with you. The partnership with Jack Stack, and BJ touched on that before too. But what are you hearing from their side? I mean, they're in the restaurant industry. It's tough to keep people employed right now. Obviously, they don't have their dining, which is a big part of the experience. They do have their catering. So what have you heard from them? We've talked so much about the nurses and the hospital workers, but what about helping keep those guys and gals busy?
Jack Stack has been very appreciative. We're not only keeping delivery guys busy or a little bit busier, we're keeping cooks busy. We're keeping the folks that are in their Fiorella's catering facility busy. They've been great. They've been very appreciative, very thankful. It's Jack Stack is not profiting on this. We know that.
Yeah.
They're doing a very good thing to help everybody out. But what they are doing and what this is able to do is just to keep some people busy that maybe wouldn't have been busy otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's and you know I've thought about that a lot too. I mean, the restaurant industry, those service industry workers have been hit worse than anyone on this in terms of a profession. And you know, guys like BJ and I, you know, if this were football season right now, you wouldn't be working and doing your stuff, or you'd be finding different ways to do it. I'm trying to find different ways to do it. I'll wrap this up and I'll move on to a web baseball show, a national baseball show that we're doing, you know, via Skype every single day. It's just different times, right? But I know I'm going to be okay. I really worry about those restaurant workers, the service industry, the bartenders, and all of that, because we need to get everybody back into those restaurants. We can't do that right now. And so you guys are helping, or at least the people, I should say, that are donating to that GoFundMe page are helping in so many different ways here. Let's wrap this up with the question we've got to ask. I never thought I'd do an interview with BJ Kissel and go 26 minutes until I've really asked about the Chiefs. We've alluded to them, but tell me about that run and how much fun you had. 'Cause I know what it's like to be on that side of it. I've been a part of that. It's a little similar in the sense that it's not about you, it's not about me, but you're riding shotgun. You're sharing it with everyone. You have a perspective that is different from almost anyone in the world. Tell me about that experience, what it was like, and what you expect going forward here.
It's so, Joel, you understand, it's so hard to put into words what it's like, because there's the personal side of it and then there's the professional side. You know, professionally, it's the highest honor, or the most, you know, exclusive, the highest thing that you can get to. And then personally, like, I grew up a Chiefs fan, so part of me, like, down there on the Super Bowl, staying on the sidelines for the radio network, you know, trying to take it all in, I kept convincing myself, don't take this for granted. Like, be where your feet are is what I kept telling myself. Enjoy this moment. And don't think so much about, you know, every single thing that I have to do work-wise. Like, take a second to kind of enjoy it. And going back and seeing some of the pictures and the highlights where you can see me on the sideline just jumping up and down, just losing my mind, definitely reminded me, like, I did enjoy the moment. So it was a whole lot of fun just to kind of represent all of Chiefs fans down there, as somebody who grew up a Chiefs fan, and kind of the path, not to get into all of it, but the path for me to get this position wasn't necessarily traditional. Joel, you and I spoke about it a little bit, but just kind of feel like I was representing all Chiefs fans down there. It was a special time. I think the cool part is, you know, you never know in the NFL, but it seems like they're set up for long-term success, returning 20 of 22 starters as of right now. That's before the draft, and they made some moves in free agency with the cap space they had. So it's definitely a good time to be a Chiefs fan, excited for this draft. I know Brett Veach and his scouting staff have figured out their new normal as far as what this draft prep looks like, and they're ready to go. They're fired up about it, so it should be a whole lot of fun.
Well, I know that whatever the draft looks like, and you were telling me before, you'll be involved probably in quite a bit of it, but I think everyone will welcome. I mean, I think everyone right now would love like a 3-week draft or anything like that, because we all need something. The replays and watching all these games back have been fun, but at some point we need something that is current and live. I think the draft is first up. So I know that everybody is excited about that. I want to pop this up one more time as I say goodbye to both of you, that there are opportunities any moment of any day to donate. So if you just go to GoFundMe, everybody can find that, and search Jack Stack, you will see this endeavor. And where, Trey, where did you guys say again? 48,000 or so?
Just under 46,000.
46,000. And there's no limit to this, because these guys and Jack Stack and all the people BJ just mentioned, an executive over with the Chiefs and a friend in North Carolina, all these people that are helping contribute, not just financially, but helping place the orders and schedule the orders. These nurses, doctors, these hospital workers will continue to want to eat every single day for those few moments that they get a break that Trey alluded to. So if it's $2, $5, for all of you executives out there and companies that are still able to work right now, if you got a little extra something, throw it in there. Every bit counts. So GoFundMe.com, search for Jack Stack, and you could do that. Guys, I get the humility. I know you don't view yourselves as heroes, but I'm calling you heroes in some sense, and you don't have to like that. That's okay. But most importantly, you're supporting your community, and I can't thank you both enough for doing it. If there's anything that changes, if there are any new endeavors, if there's any need for a call to action, let me know. We'll get it out there and continue just to support Kansas City. In the very short term, BJ, we'll see you for draft coverage. But guys, keep it up. I really appreciate what you're doing, spending time with me here today, and just keep pushing forward, fellas.
Thanks for having us.
Joel, thanks so much for your time. That red looks good on you, man. I gotta say. That's pretty good.
Say, I didn't grow up in Kansas City, but this is home. We've been here 12 years. My wife grew up here and moved away. So we'd been coming here since my niece was born 24, almost 25 years ago next month. And so this is home. This at some point, I think I'll start my 13th season of Royals baseball. The hair wasn't this white, but I wear a lot of blue. Most of the red I'd worn before was Wisconsin Badger red, because I'm a Wisconsin Badger. But you cannot go wrong wearing this around town. So a healthy dose of Royals and Chiefs. I mix some sporting in there every now and then too. Bottom line, guys, it's a great place to live. I love our community, and I know you guys feel the same way.
Absolutely.
Great work. Keep in touch, both of you guys. And again, congratulations on just bringing people together. Appreciate you guys taking the time, and I will let both guys go. That's going to do it for this episode. Again, just remember, and let me pop this up here again real quick. GoFundMe.com, search for Jack Stack, make that donation. Whatever it is going to help out these hospital workers. Big thanks to my friends over at KC Cattle Company. They will feed you too. So place your orders. You can check them out on social media. And couldn't do this without my friends at Enterprise Bank and Trust. They have been super busy with all those loan applications working throughout the Easter weekend. Hope you all had a good Easter and Passover weekend. I'm Joel Goldberg. Thanks for watching Rounding the Bases Live, presented by Enterprise Bank and Trust. See you back here tomorrow. Thanks, everyone.